Hi, everybody. My name is Irune Belaza with Farmers Insurance. Today, you're tuning into the San Diego BNI podcast. And today, we have our friend Michael Keith from Coast. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I was on the podcast before, but I'm very excited to be interviewed by you. So thank you for the opportunity and to pick me to be interviewed. So my name is Michael Keith with Coast Pest Management. We specialize in residential and commercial pest control services. I do want to throw something out there real quick because one of the things that we're starting to do, just because I'm excited about it, is Falconry. Not sure if I'm saying it right, but it's one of those new things that we had an opportunity to put a bid, and part of the bid was to have a falcon. And the falcon, according to the scope of service, what it entails is supposed to reduce and prevent nuisance birds like pigeons, seagulls, crows, sparrows. So there is a market for something like that. And according to the point of contact that wanted us to perform that type of service, it does require to have a falcon. And so I've been doing a little bit of research on that, and I found it to be really, really, really fascinating. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope I get the bid, but that goes along with the newer things or the expansion of what we do when it comes down to pest control services.
Well, that is super interesting. I know that you mentioned it in today's meeting this morning. So I thought that was like, whoa, that's very innovative. And it's like almost the cycle. No, you're already using something in nature to help with this situation that you come across now with this, the whole management of different type of pests. And I thought that was super interesting. So is Coast now going to be your like pet or like the falcon? Is it going to be like the new mascot or what is it? Like you're going to integrate it into your marketing and all this? I think that's like super cool.
I think so. As far as a mascot goes, it's kind of hard to replace our Black Widow spider. But I mean, a falcon's pretty cool. I mean,
to arrive to the job site with your falcon.
Yeah, I'm gonna name him Cal. I think every single pet that I have is like Cal. Your name is Cal. The Black Widow spider that I had, I named him Cal. It lasted for like 6 months. Had an egg sac, and then within that egg sac, 200. We counted like 200 and some spiderlings came into the office one day. I saw the egg, and I was like, cool. She produced an egg.
So the logo is based on a real spider?
Yes.
I just thought it was a random spider.
Nah, I had a pet Black Widow. I have several I've had
what?
several. Yes, I like them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it started with the black. I mean, I've always had them. So they're obviously, they don't last very long. I think the longest I've had one was 8 months. And that was the first one that we got. And then after that, every time we go to a job site, and I would like specifically for me, I would specifically look for Black Widow spiders and the big ones. So I'm like, ooh, this is good. So I would trap her, put her in the spider cage that we have, and then all of a sudden now it's a new pet. But the one that we had, which was crazy because I came to the office and there was an egg. And then like a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks later, I come to the office, turn on the lights, and there's spider webs all over the section of my office. I'm like, the heck? And I look and I see the egg was hatched. And there's a bunch of little spiders everywhere. But there's some that stayed inside the cage, so I had to close up the cage, and I got rid of the other ones. And I kept feeding it, and then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, the mom was completely dead. The spiders had killed the mom. And so I try to keep some of the spiders, but they all ended up dying. So I'm like, oh, I guess it's off to another one. But I won't say replace it. We have also live termites. We have live damp wood termites. I don't know. You never been to the office before?
No. Now I think I need to stop by and see what's going on. What kind of pets are you keeping?
I just acquired. They're called harvester ants. They're about 1/8 or 1/4 of an. No, actually, the 1/4 or 1/2 an inch. They're big. So those type of ants they call it nodes. So on the back of the abdomen, there's these segments. So those type of ants have a one node, so meaning they have the capability to sting and bite. And they're known to be extremely aggressive. So I got some. I ended up getting some at a park, and I was like, you know what? I have a customized ant farm that I got from Ukraine, and it's just there as a decorative. So you just look at it, and I'm like, you know, I need to put something in there.
Of
So I ended up getting like they call it a cherry blossom ant, which cost me like $200. And I tried to take care of her. She died like 3 days. I was like, what a waste of $200. So I'm like, screw this. I'm just going to just go on the field. I spent like maybe like 45 minutes, and I got about 100 harvester ants. I put them all in there. I put a bunch of dirt in there, and I put some protein bugs. The next day, I mounted the dirt in one section. They completely revived. No, they created an actual colony. They removed all the dirt and leveled it out. All the worms that I have, I think they're called mealworms or some type of worm. They completely dismantled them and put them underneath the bottom, because underneath the bottom of the ant farm, there's plexiglass. So you can actually see the segments of how ants normally build underground nests. So that's how the way they built it. And they've got all the dirt they put on the bottom. They took all the worms they put on the bottom, and then they just completely made their own little colony, and they're working around the clock. Wow. But they're really aggressive though. So if you was to grab one or just have a couple of them, they will sting you and they will bite you, and it's equivalent to a bee sting, and it hurts really, really bad. And they're big too. So like the other ants that I had, they were really small. I had Argentine ants in there, super small. I put them inside, and they kept getting out, and I had to super glue it, and it was annoying. Then I had big-headed ants, then I had the cherry blossom ant, and I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to get the harvester ant. They're the biggest ones. It's a liability, because if they get out and they sting someone, it's going to hurt really bad. But they look cool. They're easy to maintain, and that's one of the things I have. Black widow. I have a dampwood termite colony that I've had for 3 years, and you can see the wood that they're chewing through. You can see the timing. So from the timing that where I got it to now, that's 3 years. So it gives us an idea of the amount of damage that a termite can do within 3 years. Mm-hmm. So it's cool in that perspective. But now with the falcon, that's kind of cool. I'm still looking into that, because we bid it pretty high, and I'm like, well, if we get it, great. So I'm bidding high, but there's licenses involved. There's taking courses to know how to manage it, how to maintain it, to bond with it. There's certifications in order to have the course completion. And then you have to take it to the veterinarian. You got to make sure it's in good health. There's a lot of money to be invested in having a bird. It's almost like having a dog or a cat. You're going to invest into vet bills. It's going to cost some money. So we thought it through, and we're like, I'm committed to taking care of a bird. I have a team member that used to work at an animal shelter. And I told him, I'm like, hey, you would be the perfect person to do it. And then he's like, yes, I would. I want to do it. And it's just cool. And then recently, I don't know if you follow us on social media, but a crow walked in our office, like just kind of like he owned the place. And then he ended up spending the night, because I found out that the wing was messed up. So I gave him some water, and he was smart. He was like walking around the office, getting on top of my desk, and on top of the chair. I went to the bathroom a couple of times. I'm like, God dang it. But it was cool, and I got that little feel of having like a big bird. And so like this came up, and I was like, well, I had a crow for a day, and I didn't take it captive. It just walked in, and we ended up calling like one of the wildlife companies to take it, because they're illegal. You can't. They're illegal. I didn't keep it. Don't find me. Don't find me.
Don't come after me.
Don't come after me. But I mean, we have that experience when having a big bird just for 2 days, and then we got that bug, and this is for hire, so it's even better. So I love it.
So nobody's doing that here in San Diego, that type of service?
Not a lot. It's a very small, super small market. Like when I looked it up, there maybe found like 2 companies that do it, and then there's one company that does training courses, and also like for people and kids and family, or people that just want to learn or want to hold a bird, a falcon, or an owl. There's a market for that, but there's not a market for like hire a falcon to deter like a target pest.
And what specifically would they look for? Like, what would they be good at?
So, I mean, their targets are pretty much like any type of bird, rodent, gophers, etc. So for the contract, per the agreement that we're potentially going to get, it's nuisance birds. And one of them, it said in bold letters, seagulls. And then a nuisance birds could be anything. It could be crows, could be sparrows. Swallows are protected, but I think if it has to do with swallows and them nesting underneath the eaves, because swallow birds are protected by the state, and what they do is they get a bunch of mud, like they get like tubes of mud, and they build like a little hub or like a tent or something made out of just mud, and so they'll go underneath. But their primary food source is bugs. To be honest, I don't know why they're protected. I should probably do some more research in that. I just know they're protected from a specific time of the year. So I think it's like, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like June to October. You're not allowed to, that's what they migrate towards this direction. If they have built a nest, you're not allowed to take it down or else you get a fine. So like I'm assuming they want it done April because they know that they're coming. And so the falcon will prevent them from getting there because that's one of their primary sources, primary enemies is other nuisance birds. So that's why they probably put in falcon. And it goes along with other stuff that's in there like spikes, netting, and they call it bird spiders. It's with this mechanism that turns around in circles that prevents seagulls from landing. It's like a little string that twirls around. So that's something that we provide, but this whole falcon thing was pretty like mind-blowing. And
it is.
I hope I get it.
I hope you get it. I hope I go to one of your job sites with you.
Yeah.
I want to just arrive with the falcon.
Shoot, I'll bring that sucker in and BNI. Yeah. I'm like, everybody can pet my falcon cow. So that's pretty cool, but it goes along with like as far as like the pest control industry of the perception of people thinking that all we do is just spray and go. There's a amount of things that we do that people have no idea that we do. Most people know that, restaurants is one of them. Restaurants, people out of sight, out of mind, they don't know that behind the scenes, restaurants need that type of protection. And so we are behind the scenes to make sure that we are preventing any sort of vector disease pests like rodents, roaches, and even flies. So, and another one that we do warehouse facilities with the third audit, industrial facilities. They have to sell to third parties. So what happens is they have to go through an audit. Part of their audit is to get a pest control company, and there's a specific guidelines that they have to do. You have to talk to the POC. You have to have a documentation there, when you got in, when you got out. They call it MCT devices, multi-catch trap devices that we have to put strategically based off of square footage and guidelines to prevent rodents from getting inside. Those got to be scanned and documented. Everything has to be up to par in order for that specific company to sell to like a Costco, sell to like I don't even know Albertsons even exist, but like a Vons and stuff like that. So there's
still a few.
There's still a few
by my house. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. So like Albertsons and stuff like that, they require like a third party to go in there and making sure that these requirements are being met, and part of it is pest control services. So I mean, and it's just so many other things like wildlife services. We don't have our license, but pest control companies provide wildlife services. If you're having raccoons, if you're having possums, if you're having skunks, and even coyotes, those companies out there that specialize in trapping coyotes, that's something that our industry does as well. We are in the health sector, so when the whole COVID thing was happening, we were deemed exempt, so we were able to perform services because they found that our services fall under the guidelines of health and necessity. It's a necessity of services to have. So for us, it's like, it's great. But a lot of people don't know that it's not just us going out to your property and spraying for ants and spiders as they're bothering you. A lot of it has to do with like vector disease, and we prevent those type of pests to spread any sort of diseases to the public. So in essence, we are like public safety. We're deemed as public safety from the city, from the state. So it's pretty cool.
So you are trying to save a few of the species you find.
Like
bees?
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's times where it requires an extermination, and we do it. Sorry, people out there that are mad about that, but not my problem. Sorry. Not to be straightforward, but it's really not my problem. But we do also provide a rescuing services as well. We do live bee removals too. So I went to the UF, to the University of Florida, and I took a bee college, and I understood, obviously, I have this perception and perspective of the importance of bees because they're pollinators, but when I went to that college, it gave a little bit more of a insight of what else we can do with bees. And so when we have the opportunity to save bees, we do, but, we have to charge for it. So we're not like a nonprofit. We're not like these Captain Save All the Bees. Sorry, I'm not. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like if you are paying us to do an extermination, we're going to do it. We're a licensed company to do that under a specific situations. Like if they're for swarm bees, like they're swarming through your flowers and pollinating. They're like, oh, I want you to kill the bees. I'm like, yeah, no. So we don't do that. So we are conscientious about the importance of it and what they're doing. But if they have an established hive in your property and it's established, they have a honeycomb, and it's somewhere where there's kids, there's someone that's allergic, there's someone, there's elderly people. It depends on the situation. It could be a situation where it can be like life-threatening situations. So when it comes to a life-threatening situation, my mindset comes along with, I really don't care. It's either them or us. And for me, if you're hiring us to do an extermination based off of like the severity of the situation they can potentially cause, I will jump on that right away and do an extermination. And there's some bees that there's just no saving them. There's Africanized bees. You can't domesticate those bees at all. They will attack you quick. You can be like a couple feet away and they'll come after you. And then they'll come after you within not just one or two, like within the hundreds. So it's super dangerous. So those can't be domesticated. So we just exterminate those. And to do a live removal, it is more expensive. It's more time consuming. It's just the knowledge that we have, and to transfer them to a beekeeper. So all that costs money, and we are a business. So like if you're not going to choose to do a live removal and you're going to choose to do an extermination, we're going to do it.
That's basically an out of pocket expense for the homeowner, or there's not like a nonprofit that saves bees. There
is, but because I used to be part of the beekeeping society in San Diego. By the way, they hated my guts. They see that I was in pest control, and they weren't friendly at all with me. And anything, they would just demoralize me every time I went. But I didn't care. But I won them over after like 6 months. But there are people out there that will save bees. But then, you got your hobbyist, but that can get expensive too. So especially if you have to cut, and then the liability, like if you want to save bees, you have to cut through drywall and you can't fix it. You can leave somebody open like that. Somebody's always wants to do something right until something bad happens to them, and then doing something right doesn't exist to them. So like that happens to a lot of the people that want to save bees. They want to do the right thing, and they want to cut out drywall, or they want to, cut up roofs. I've seen people go on the roofs and cut roofs not knowing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, are you going to patch it? They're like, I don't know how to do that. And like, well, I have an open roof now. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, you wanted to save the bees. So you kind of think things through a little bit. So there's very few of that because of the liability, and there's very few of that because the overhead is just too much sometimes. That from a hobbyist, now they're paying all this money to be hobbyists, and they're like, well, this hobby is getting a little bit more expensive, and they just don't do it. Exactly. So there are people out there to do that.
And I do get those calls sometimes, like, I have a bee situation. Oh. I had a customer that had a whole chimney infested with, just like covered with honey and like the whole thing. So I'm like, unfortunately, most homeowners policies have all that's excluded, like the rodents and just the termites, the bees. So people sometimes don't know that until it actually happens, and that's when we try to find a solution. But at that point, in that particular case, it was already like a little bit out of control, mm-hmm. where he had to take matters into his own hands. I didn't know you back then. I didn't know the bees were, they were being able to be saved or not. Sure. But yeah, he came across that situation, and there's all kinds of, rodent situations and questions that people have all the time. But yeah, that's kind of a maintenance thing that homeowners should be attending to.
Is there a policy where you can add that?
There's no endorsements.
There isn't?
It's not a typical endorsement, not with any carrier that I've worked with.
So when it comes down to the policy like that, I mean, it's obviously you need a policy like that. Like there's no way that you can just say like, no, I don't need it, right? Like, do you have to, by law, have to have a like homeowner's policy in order to own a home? Or is it like an option? Obviously the option is...
If you have a mortgage, it's required.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the requirement with the bank.
Is it like a policy where it's just one policy and that's it, that covers X amount of things? Or can you add on to that policy with maybe not rodents or like bees like you said, but mm-hmm. anything else that goes along with wanting to protect something from the house?
Yeah, there's depending on the carrier, we'll have like different type of endorsements, but endorsements are typically, they have to do mostly with, like I said, the pipes, mm-hmm. Just like sewer situations, and it could also be for jewelry. That's a typical endorsement. but it also has, it's certain criteria depending on the value of a particular item. It could require a appraisal. Like, and sometimes depending on the item, it could be an appraisal by a certified gemologist. So it just depends. A lot of people will be interested in endorsing like collectibles or just like art that they have in the house. So there is some like subcategories that the policy will have, and they have a limit. So it's typically that, like firearms, jewelry, art, collectibles. And if anything that you think a particular item exceeds those limits, then there is a possibility to, within that policy, increase it or just get a separate policy for that particular item. And that would be like a personal articles policy that would cover that item separate to your homeowners. So
is there an inspection that needs to be done? Like if somebody wants to add a policy, like for example, they want to add their guns, they want to add their jewelry, does like somebody go in there and look at the items itself, or do you just take their word and be like, okay, you want to cover this, you want to cover that?
We usually need like an invoice and a picture of it, not like a picture I took, just a picture that the insured will send me. Sometimes they'll send me like a picture of the ring, but I do need like the appraisal. So we do need documentation all the time.
So do you say, like, since you started your business, what do you have more of? Do you have more homeowners policy, or do you have car insurances that you guys cover?
The agency that I purchased, it was already, established, and it's very multi-line. So it is a lot of households that have a lot of services within, the same company. Sure. So we do have a lot of that. People that have their auto, their home, umbrella. So they are fully protected because, with insurance, there tend to be gaps. So that's the good thing about having an insurance agent, where they could, find those gaps, make sure that you're not like missing anything. Sure. So that's kind of what we do. We observe the whole, and it is something different versus, just getting a quote with the carrier over the phone, because they're not going to go into that much detail if you have assets, if you have the adequate coverage. Sure. So that's what I see. That.
And then you said you purchased that business. From the time you purchased it to now, do you keep track of the amount of customers that you've been able to obtain and cover? Like, do you see like exponential growth, or is it like kind of the same?
I think it's kind of maintained because, I came in exactly when the insurance industry started to be all over the place. Yeah. So we've lost a few, but then we've always gained a few. So it's been just the challenge here has been to kind of just like maintain. And slowly this year, the company is, Farmers as a whole is changing the structure to where they want us to grow. So barely, like this year, we started to open up more into categories we had restriction on. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a chaotic time in the insurance industry. So even us, still being able to keep afloat with all the changes, it's been okay under the circumstances that a lot of agents have gone through. I have other friends that are like agents with other companies, and they've had it like very, very hard. So Farmers was still like very good to us as agents.
And then it's a franchise. So I'm assuming that Farmers advertisement, they pump that advertisement for you, right?
They do have a lot of systems integrated where they do have like the posts that we do on Instagram. Those are kind of like generic. We can also do our own thing, but they do have like a certain, like templates almost, that you can just like use those. So that helps because, like I've mentioned before, I'm the HR department, I'm the marketing department, I'm everything. So there's a lot that we do as business owners,
of course.
As you know.
And do they provide a lot of support? Meaning like, do they do meetings with you? Do they give you like brochures? Do they say, hey, what can we do to help? Do they reach out a lot?
Yeah. So I've had in the time, just so you can grasp the the changes that we've navigated. I've been had my agency 2 years. This is my third district manager.
Oh, geez.
So that's how it's been like, I met one and retired, then another one retired. I'm like, okay, well, I guess everybody's like leaving. No, they're like, bye.
I see ya.
Yeah. So, but now I have a really good district manager. She's young, so she brought a lot of like, fresh energy. She's also a female. There's not a lot of female district managers. So I'm really proud of her.
Yeah.
She worked under another district manager in the like LA area, and then she got promoted here. So she's doing really good. She's building her team, but she's new, but she has tons of experience because she already worked for another district.
So like her responsibility, would it be everybody from San Diego or like no?
Within San Diego there's a bunch of district managers. It doesn't really divide into like zip codes or anything. It's just like, I don't know how they do that, but there's just like a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did she come in person or?
Usually we go to her office.
Oh.
She could come to mine if I would need that.
Sure.
But usually the bigger trainings, we go to her district office, and she has a team, like a commercial team, a life team. So like a person that's specialized in that area, because we do offer a bunch of stuff. No,
Sure.
it's like, it's not just the personal lines. I also do commercial insurance. I do life insurance. So there's a lot more than that I do other than the typical auto and home.
So like if you were to grow your book of business, like by, let's just say 25%, is it something that's expected of you from the franchise to grow? Like, do they have like a goal chart? Like, hey, you're doing this amount. We would like for you to do 25. Or they're just like, you know what, go about your pace. You're doing good. We're just going to stay off your hair, but we have your back in case you need it.
For a long time, that's how it was. Basically, if you sell and you just want to like, just keep receiving the income from renewals and all that, then that was pretty much like, you could make me maybe like work your book of business very like strong for a few years, and then just kind of like chill a little bit towards the end, towards like, if you're going to go into retirement, time or, but now the way that they're structuring it now, it completely changed. So now they are expecting, us to do more. So
are they also giving more support if they're asking for more?
Yeah. Just like the whole structure of the compensation plan changed. So now for us to be at like the percentage of commission, we have to like also sell more commercial and like, for example. So it does matter, So like, yeah, you can't just like, just like receive renewals and think you're gonna like make it. No, because the percentage of what you received before changed. So now to be at the level you were at, you need to start to produce again.
I just said let's scale up a little bit. And I mean, obviously, if you scale more, it'd be good for you too, right?
Yeah.
And
they are like promos. They do like incentives or bonuses. So yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, I've never known anybody. Nuri had like 7 H&R blocks. Now she's down to 2, I think she said. So I don't know too much about like having a franchisee. People, because of our branding, is because of how we have our vehicles, because of how we dress, our uniform, etc. People think that we're a franchisee. We're like, oh no, we're just very bougie. We understand that people are going to judge you, period, by how you present yourself, how you look. It's just it's the nature of being a human being. Even on a subconscious level, like, I don't judge in my head. In your head, you're probably judging, most likely. So we understand that. So we want to make sure that we are presentable in a sense where when people look at us, they're like, they look good, they sound good. I mean, we're trying to check all the boxes here. But as far as like a franchisee, like with you, like it's already established, and I had no idea what it would look like. And I'm sure most people maybe don't have no idea what a franchisee looks like, like in a sense of like growth, in a sense of expectations. and even pressure. Like, is there, what leads me to my question is, with the franchisee there, is there still a lot of pressure on you to produce because now they have this specific like goal that they want you to set? Is there pressure for you?
I don't feel pressure. I think there's no more additional pressure than the pressure I already put on myself. Like, they're not gonna come and be like, hey, you need to produce to pay your overhead. No, so it's kind of like on you.
Right.
So I don't need nobody to come and pressure me. I'm already,
So about pressure, like you say, you get a lot of pressure. How do you take pressure?
I think I take it well. I think I can handle pressure, more pressure than most, I've noticed. I've just like the way I do things, I've noticed that, like, I guess not everybody's like me. Because just like people that I've had, work with me in the office, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just assume people can just like take on more.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, no, they can't. So I think it does take a certain type of, character to be able to, it's pressure, but it's also like, how well can you navigate change?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's that too. And I think that's why I've seen a lot of agents now, like they're like retiring or they're selling their book because they weren't, that good with change.
Right.
So I've seen a lot of that because, yeah, it is exactly that. We have meetings like very frequently now. Before it wasn't that much. There wasn't that much of a need to be, have a meeting every 2 weeks or every, and there's just like so many. It's like my district, my corporate, there's like so many.
Yeah.
So now there's a lot of that because we have so much change back to back.
Right.
So we need to keep up with new guidelines, new this, So it's never been like that before.
Right.
So that's the challenge.
My mentor, Caesar, from the owner of Cloak and Pedal, he said, it's not what you can achieve, it's what you can endure. So, like, if you can achieve, that's great. But if you can endure pressure, because life is pressure, owning a business is a lot of pressure because there's obviously a lot of responsibilities. So, like, if you can endure that pressure, then you're already a step ahead. And not a lot of people, I believe that a lot of people can do it. A lot of people have the capability to do it, but they choose not to because it's heavy. It's heavy. Sometimes, like, pressure can be, it could be heavy. It could be scary. It could be sad. It can be lonely. So knowing those specific types of emotions and understanding that those emotions are there and understanding that if you want to get to a specific place that you want to go to, understand what that looks like to get there and understand, is this the place that you really want to go, or is it just something that you think you need to go? And so once you understand, like for me, in my experience, not giving advice here, but like just sharing my experience, once you understand where you're sitting at right now and what it looks like, it doesn't look like, oh, I'm a business owner, I made it. No, it doesn't. That's just not the way it goes. And if you sit down and you write down all of the do's and don'ts and all of the potential areas that you can probably be challenged at, then I think that you have an understanding of pressure and you have a good relationship when it comes down to pressure. Because you say you take pressure good, right? Is that what you said? You said that.
I think I understand it. Like, I think I see it as an opportunity for growth. Like, I don't see, like, like these adversity as a, like you just like to bring you down. I think it's always like teaching you something. All these changes are teaching you something. It's always an opportunity to be a better person. So I do a lot of like introspect on everything that happens to me, around me. So I'm always like doing that. Like, I wonder what this particular scenario is teaching me, or what this customer is teaching me, or what, so I'm always doing that. So that's a way of me looking at things, because I think it's all like perspective. So
Sure.
It's how do I choose to see this?
Right.
So I could be like, insurance industry is chaos. I'm doomed.
Yeah.
Should I have done, this entrepreneurship right this moment? Like, but we never know. Maybe it's the perfect time, no?
Right.
So it's a lot of that. And I think also well, you have to do other things as well as, to kind of like know how to cope with this too.
Sure.
So I personally have to do like a lot of like meditation and yoga and a lot of other things, other tools that help me endure. So
Right. I would kind of piggyback off of that too. Sometimes understanding certain things may not even be enough. So sometimes you get to go into the dark places that you don't want to go to, because it's going to happen. You can't avoid darkness. There's light and there's dark. If you cannot understand, or you don't have the courage to go to the dark places, then you're not living life, in my opinion, not living life fully. So understanding that the dark is something that is there, that's life too, is a great understanding. And what it looks like to go in the dark is going to the fear factor. Like, what are you scared of the most? What scares you? And how do I take fear? Do I take it by running away from it? Do I take it by, facing fear in the eye and smiling and just hugging it? Like, what does that look like to you? So I've done the same thing. I've, deep meditations. I don't know if I can say it, but mushrooms has helped me out a lot. I do a lot, not a lot, like in the sense of like meditation, in the sense of being a better version of myself. I've been praying a lot too. Praying really has coped with a certain type of fear factors that I have, and I have an understanding that there's something greater than myself out there. I don't have to take this burden all by myself. Having faith in something that's bigger than myself is great. And then I think I watched a cartoon, and then Robin said, like, faith is the absence of data. And so I'm like, dang, that was powerful for a cartoon. And so I'm like, if I don't have the data, because I'm a very analytical person, I like to write stuff down and be like, what do I fear the most? What is that expectation? What is it that I can lose? What is it? What is my definition of loss, and how do I feel about it? Like, what would happen if I lose it all? What would I do? And all of it answers with this acceptance and having the courage to accept the things that you can't control. And so for me, like, the way I cope with it is putting myself in that fear factor, in that place of darkness, in that place of fear. And I just be friends with it. And then, to be honest with you, mushrooms have helped me quite a bit, not more than quite a bit. It's helped me get to a point where I really lose control, and I accept the things that I usually want to put underneath the rug. I just face it full blown and just accept it and love it. And so being in the moment, the choices that I make, just owning up to those choices, knowing that I made that choice, whether it's good or bad in people's eyes, it's not about them. It's about me. Like, is it bad for me? Is it going to harm people? Is it going to harm myself? Is it going to deter me to where I want to go? And the answer is always no. If anything, my intention is always to elevate myself to the higher standard. My intention is always provide the best service I can. My intention is to be the better version of myself no matter what. And it always comes from a good place. So anything that I do, when it comes down to anything, it comes from a good place. So I never think twice of it. I just do it. I don't care if I get criticism. I don't care if people are going to judge me. You can judge all you want. Like, this is my life. This is what I choose to do. And so I face those fears of criticism. I face those fears of not knowing. And I just face those fears of even like this enduring and allowing fear. It's a crazy venture. And the only reason why I'm on this venture of just sanity, in a sense, or a venture of love, is because I'm a business owner, and I have to endure a bunch of this stuff that I always ask myself, is this even worth it? And at the end of the day, it's always going to be yes, but I need to go into that dark place in order to figure out the answer to that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that. It's a lot of what would happen? What would happen if everything you planned is like, other,
Yep.
life has other plans for you. And you kind of have to be okay with that. And I think once you face it, you can, you come out a different version of you, and you're always just, in this evolution of you as a person. So I think that, yes, the way we face all of this is what just, brings us to the other side and makes us just, be a better version of ourselves. And I think that's all we can like do.
Right.
And definitely just be okay with facing all of the aspects of you, all the, like you said, the darkness, the light, everything. It's meant to be there, And how do we go into those dark moments and get the tools we need, because that's what actually, pushes us,
Right.
It's what keeps us going.
Right.
If everything was perfect, we're not evolving, we're not growing. So it's those moments that, like, do you want to see it as a like, like you're a doom situation, or are you just gonna, like,
Right.
take on and
It takes a lot of courage. So
yeah. So as always, we always need like a part 2 of, we start to get into it, and then our time usually goes by really quickly.
yes.
So definitely we need a part 2 of the light and darkness segment.
I love it. Let's do it.
But thank you for watching, and stay tuned to the next San Diego BNI podcast. And thank you for listening, guys.
We, myself and Irune and many other people, we meet up every single Wednesday at 7 a.m. at the Chula Vista Golf Course. You guys are more than welcome to come by. We always have breakfast there. And not only do we have breakfast there, but we have people that talk about everything to do with their business and how it could elevate your business and how we can elevate our business. And the best part about it is you build connections and you build a relationship with people. So those of you that are very curious on what that looks like, come on by every Wednesday at 7 a.m. at the Chula Vista Golf Course.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode.